Thank you and welcome into this video. I would like to walk you through the content of withholding tax certificate. So it is much less the same when it comes to the withholding certificate originating from management and consulting services, and the other withholding tax certificate that usually originate from interest emanating from financial institution or from treasury, which is from the T-bills and T-boards. So the content of a withholding tax certificates is very simple. Up here, we usually have the name withholding certificate as the header. Below here, we usually have the date of certificate, which usually show us when we got these certificates, or the date when the date when we got this certificate. But the date of the certificates can be different to the dates when the real transaction took place. So this is just a certificate date. But what we usually focus a lot is the transaction date, and they can be different here. So you can see here the transaction date took place at 17th July 2025, but you can notice that the date of the certificate is 22nd July 2025. You can notice the difference here. So what I wanted to explain is that what we focus a lot, we don't focus on the date of the certificate. We usually focus on when we realized cash when this withholding tax certificate was generated, but we shall explain that deeper. So below here now, we usually have now the certificate serial number. Below the certificate serial number, we usually have the withholder's details, where we have the PIN of the withholder, which is here. So the withholder is the employer who paid you using the withholding certificate. So the name of the withholder, who is that company, will appear. The PIN of the withholder will appear here, and then the name of the withholder, which is the company, and the address of the withholder. So when you see the withholder here, usually mean the employer or the payer of that amount. So going downward, we get to where we have now the withholding details. So the withholding details is now your personal details, because we have the withholder, now you are the withholdee. So your PIN will appear here, your name and the address. So if you have registered as a company, you are consulting firm, or the firm which you are doing the trading with financial institutions, so it will appear the PIN of the company, the name of the company and the address. But in case it is individual, your personal KRA PIN will appear here, your name and the address. Now we get to know the most important area, where we have the detail of the tax withheld. So where we have the details of the tax withheld, this is where you usually notice the nature of the transaction which took place, and this is what usually inform us when filing our return. So when we come here, you can see the nature of the transaction is management, professional, training or consulting fee, which is over 24,000 in a month. So in case it is below that, this is not subject to withholding tax. So these services, management and training services, they are subject to a withholding tax rate of 5%. So this 5% is the amount, is now the amount of these 13,016 shillings. So that means that the amount which you usually receive in your account is less this amount of withholding tax. So the amount which you receive in your account, basically it is, so let me come here where I have my calculator so that I show you. So the amount which you usually receive in your account is the difference between 260, 317 minus 13. So the amount which you receive in your account basically is the difference between this gross transaction and amount withheld. So is minus 13,016, giving us a value of 256,301. So this is the amount which you received in your account. But now when doing your return, you are supposed to use this gross transaction, because this amount of withheld tax, it is a 5% tax which you paid in advance to the revenue authority. So immediately you receive that withholding certificate on July, the revenue authority withheld this 13,000 as an advance tax. which you come to claim as a credit when filing your return. And to know the year which you need to less these withholding, you need to consider this certificate. You need to check the transaction date. So you must ensure that the transaction date is for the year when you are doing the return. So this cannot be applied in 2026, but you can notice the certificate date here can be dating 2026, but the transaction took place in 2025. That's why I said you need to understand the difference of these two dates. But the most important one, without overthinking, is the transaction date, which is here. So if the transaction date is 2025, so you can do it for 2025. So I need to show you what you need to do when you get to your Excel sheets in order to file returns for withholding tax. So don't struggle a lot. Here, when you receive this certificate, nothing you need to do. The government has already taken their share of the income from this amount. The thing which you just need to do, you need to wait till when we are doing the annual return. But when you are waiting, kindly keep on monitoring the expenses which you are incurring when offering your services. So this scenario, I would like us first to deal with the management professional training or consulting fee services, because interest originating from any institution, be it be originating from financial institution, be it be bank, be it be treasury bills and board, the 15% which is usually deducted from T-bills and T-board is a final tax. But in order to make it simplistic, let me first deal with the withholding tax emanating from management, professional training, or consulting fees. So let me deal with this. So when you receive this certificate, and now when you receive it, you are not supposed to do anything. The government has taken their share. So at the end of the year, what you need to declare is this gross transaction amount. So regardless of how many certificates you have, you take the gross amount of all those certificates. So assuming I had 10 certificates, I could have taken the aggregate amount of those certificates. And when I take the aggregate amounts, I need to come here under my P&L. P&L is the profit or loss. Under my P&L, I'll come here, and it was originating from, we are taking a scenario of a commission we earned. So I'll just take the gross amount here. So you are not supposed to take the amount which you received in your account, because there is somewhere where you come and claim this advance tax. So just come here and take this amount. So let me come here. So it is 260,317. So just come here and populate that amount here, which is 260,317. I'll come and populate it here. So based on the new KRA regulation, as you know, even if you are dealing with consulting and monitoring the expense for non-stock item or services is very difficult, you need to monitor whichever expense which correlates to this consulting work as many as possible. But in this scenario, this is where you are supposed to come and populate the gross turnover. So from there, now you need to come here and now claim the advance tax which you paid. So you just need to come under T computation and you come and claim that amount here. So under where we have withholding tax credit. So that's why I said you are supposed to declare the gross total, the gross amount in the gross turnover, and then come and take the tax which is here and claim it as a tax credit which you are supposed to be given. So this is an advance tax which you give to the government. You need to come here and claim it here as 13,016. Just do that and you're good to go. Then in case is personal tax, you are supposed to be given annual personal relief of this amount, and you are good to go. And that is how you usually do it. That is the best method how you can do it and interpret these data practically. So that is what you are supposed to do, and that is how we usually interpret these certificates. So what I said, in case you are dealing with interest originating from financial institution, the amount of 15% which is usually deducted from that gross transaction of that interest is a final tax. What does it mean when it means it's a final tax? When it means it is a final tax, it means you not and declare it here in the P&L. That is why I wanted we do it practically using these sheets. You not come and start declaring here. the amount of 15% which the government deducted from that amount which was transacted in your withholding tax certificate, it is a final tax. You relax, and we go to the next year. So the 15% is a final tax. So it can be 15 or 10%. So that is what I wanted to explain to you. In case you have any query regarding taxation, withholding tax, income tax, VAT, pay, or any kind of tax, you can reach me using my personal contact in the description of my videos, and also in the channel banner you can be able to get my contact. You can reach me anytime and we can have any query regarding taxes which you feel we need to touch. So thank you for watching, and have a nice day ahead.